At around 7 a.m. on July 23, 2018, a woman was found collapsed and unresponsive at a residence in Shinsencho, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Someone called 119. Firefighters who arrived immediately saw what was in the third-floor bedroom of the residence. It was the sight of a woman lying completely naked on the bed. Nobuaki Ishihara, 69, who lived in this house, made the emergency call. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene, and the Metropolitan Police Department soon began investigating it as a criminal case. The victim was Yuri Igarashi, a 28-year-old housewife from Itabashi Ward, Tokyo. According to the autopsy results, Ms. Igarashi's body had over 100 times the lethal dose. Stimulants were detected. Moreover, they were found not only in the stomach, but also in the gastric region. Death was due to acute stimulant intoxication, as usual. Because an unusually large amount of drugs was found, the Metropolitan Police Department ruled the case a murder and reported it accordingly. Mr. Ishihara was questioned as a key person of interest, during which he stated that the drugs were provided by Goju. Mr. Arashi says he brought and used the drugs himself. He also insists that he has never possessed or used drugs before. And in fact, no drugs were found on Mr. Ishihara's body or at his home, so a careful investigation was required. However, after that, this reaction was not seen in Mr. Ihara. The Metropolitan Police Department determined that Mr. Ishihara had been regularly using stimulants. Based on these facts, on March 6, 2019, 7 months after the incident, the Metropolitan Police Department charged him with murder. Ishihara was arrested on suspicion of murder and other charges. However, Ishihara repeatedly denied the charges. He claims he is innocent, saying, "I didn't make her drink it, she drank it herself." Here, not only is decisive evidence missing, but even circumstantial evidence is rare. Additionally, Ishihara lacks a motive. The Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office reduced the charge to bodily injury resulting in death before indicting Ishihara. And then, 3 years later, on July 6, 2021, at the first trial, the prosecution said Ishihara urged Mr. Ihara to use stimulants, and when he refused, Ishihara put it in sake and made him drink it. His life was suddenly taken away. They stated that the victim was not at fault at all and requested a 10-year prison sentence for the defendant. However, even here, Ishihara continued to claim his innocence. When I got home and was watching television, Mr. Ihara was drinking. The pace gradually got faster. By the time it got dark, he was jumping on the bed. And then he had a seizure due to his chronic illness. However, what about the fact that Mr. Ihara was completely naked and that stimulants were detected in his urine? About these things, the defendant knew about his chronic illness. He took medicine out of Mr. Ihara's bag and said that after taking it orally and rectally, he couldn't have sexual intercourse. I have no idea what that means. And then, on July 20, 2021, during the latter half of the verdict, Judge Nisai said that stimulants have a seriously harmful effect on the human body. He said that forcing someone to take a large amount of drugs is extremely dangerous and malicious in nature. Furthermore, the defendant gave unreasonable excuses throughout and showed absolutely no sign of remorse. The judge condemned. The prosecution gave their closing statement on Ishihara. A sentence of 9 years in prison, which is almost the same as the 10 years requested, was handed down, bringing this case to a close. However, why? Why was Ms. Ihara a housewife at his house, and what was their relationship, including any sexual aspect? We'll address those questions soon, but first, let's discuss what kind of person the defendant, Ishihara, was. Ishihara is from Hiroshima Prefecture. He is a Korean living in Hiroshima, Japan. He was married to a Korean woman and reportedly had children, but was known as a womanizer and often pursued other women while running his business. He worked at a real estate company. He often had issues with women, including making a female international student his mistress, which led his wife to lose patience. After the divorce, he proposed to that female international student, but he was rejected. And when he went to Russia, he found someone there. He returned to Japan with a Russian woman, But in the end, he was also rejected by her. Even so, his obsession with women never went away. In 2015, he joined an exclusive members-only dating club. Then, in November 2016, through this dating club, the defendant Ishihara met Mr. Ihara, who would become the victim. This dating club is what you would call a club that arranges so-called papa-katsu relationships. The two had met 3 times before the incident, and each time they exchanged money and had a sexual relationship. On the day before the incident, around 11 a.m. on July 22, 2018, Ihara-san told her husband that she was going to meet an old coworker and left the house. However, she actually went to a Shibuya hotel chosen by Ishihara. After that, the two met there and headed to Ishihara's home by car. When they arrived at the house, the two of them went to the 3rd floor. They started drinking alcohol in the living room, which also served as a bedroom. By around 1 p.m., Ihara-san was quite drunk, and that's when Ishihara made his move, saying, "Do you want to try something cold?" But Ihara-san refused. Still, he didn't give up. Ishihara secretly drank Ihara-san's drink. He mixed stimulants into the drink and made him drink it. Actually, at that time, Ihara-san was messaging with a friend on LINE. "Right now, I'm being offered drugs. Seriously, what should I do?" I took them without even realizing it. After hearing that, the friend tried calling Ihara-san, but apologized, saying they couldn't reach him. "I can't answer the phone right now. What should I do? Should I call the police?" And then, about 30 minutes after the first contact, Mr. Ihara called his friend. "Someone put drugs in my sake, and I drank it without realizing. If anything happens, I want you to testify for me. I'm going to the police box now, but as mentioned at the beginning, Mr. Ihara ended up passing away from a drug overdose." The lethal dose of stimulants is generally said to be around 0.5 g to over 1 g, but what she was made to take was more than 100 times that amount, meaning 50 g to over 100 g. The street price of stimulants is about 70,000 yen per gram. That's right, so it's 3.5 to over 7 million yen. Regarding this, experts point out that such an amount is extremely unrealistic. But is that really the case? That much. He was a tax accountant and real estate executive. Was defendant Ishihara able to obtain it? In fact, defendant Ishihara, he appeared to earn his living in real estate, but those around him called him a fixer. He dealt with so-called problematic properties, especially those connected to organized crime groups. In other words, it's easy to think he was linked to organized crime. It's believed that he was able to possess a large amount of stimulants through those connections. Next, let's talk about Mr. Ihara, the victim in this case. She once appeared on television with the man who would later become her husband. It was on a variety show called Can I Follow You Home that aired on March 17, 2017. She appeared on that show as a Ginza hostess, and from the content, it was clear that she originally liked alcohol and drinking. You could catch a glimpse that she had fallen into a state of alcohol dependence. Furthermore, Ms. Ihara confessed on the show that when she was 21, she was mentally unstable and was hospitalized in a psychiatric ward for about 3 months. Let me go back to the incident for a moment. Her death. The estimated time of death is about 6 p.m. on July 22. And the report was made around 7 a.m. on July 23, which means she had died more than 12 hours before the incident was discovered. So, what was Ishihara doing during the 12-hour gap before the report was made? During this time, Ishihara called an acquaintance. He said, "I used meth and started acting strange," and also mentioned that something was stuck. He ended up asking them to take care of the envelope. Afterward, the Metropolitan Police Department found nothing at Ishihara's house. It can be said that evidence was destroyed during this 12-hour gap, and if that 12-hour gap hadn't existed, Ms. Igarashi might have been saved. Certainly, there are aspects of her actions that could be seen as her own fault, but that's only the surface of the facts. Behind the incident, there are often various other factors. There is a background to it. You could say that what happens between a married couple can only be understood by the couple themselves. In fact, after Ms. Igarashi passed away, her husband left behind these words. No one could possibly understand Yuri's feelings or her depression. Ms. Igarashi once came home very drunk from a lounge. After that, she overdosed on tranquilizers and, in a daze, attacked her husband with a knife. She was held in a detention center for 20 days, and during that time, a letter she wrote to her husband still remains. To my dear Papa, thank you for visiting me yesterday. Usually, I don't feel so well, but today, thanks to seeing you yesterday, Papa, I feel like my heart is filled with happiness. When I leave here, I want to do so much with you. First of all, by the time I get out of here, the cherry blossoms will probably be starting to bloom. So let's go flower viewing together with Ga-chan, the three of us. I was really happy when Papa told me to do my best yesterday. I'll do my best. Papa, do your best too. I love you. Yuri was forced to take a large amount of stimulants for someone else's selfish gain and lost her life. Mr. Ishihara, the husband who lost both Ms. Igarashi and his wife. The day after the defendant was sentenced to 9 years, the husband left these words. It's almost no different from the prosecutor's request. I can't thank the lay judges enough. Thank you. The fight isn't over, so I won't give up. Lastly, I offer my heartfelt prayers for Ms. Yuri Igarashi, whose life was lost in this case. Well then, that's all for this time. Thank you very much for watching until the end.